Hello, everyone. Welcome to this masterclass on how to unlock lasting weight loss and boost your energy levels without counting calories or following a restrictive diet. I appreciate you showing up and taking the time to watch this. So, the reason why I want to talk about this with you today is because I see so many executives and other busy professionals, parents, trying to lose weight by cutting their calories, struggling through low energy, low libido, poor mood, and never seeing the results they deserve for their efforts. And I know it sounds too good to be true, but eating less is not the answer. And in fact, most of the time I get my clients to eat more and exercise less, especially when we first start working together. And we're going to get into this in more detail later on, but some key problems with cutting calories is that it will tank your energy levels, especially if you're working long hours, impact your cognitive abilities, which impacts your work performance, and it slows your metabolism, which makes weight loss very challenging. I want to show you how you can unlock permanent weight loss in a way that's enjoyable, effective, and works better than the other things you've tried. So most nutrition programs, they make you massively restrict calories, cut out food groups altogether, or tediously track and measure your meals. And not only are these not sustainable or feasible with your hectic lifestyle, but they're not the right approach in the first place. Instead, what you need is a strategy that actually fits well with your lifestyle and schedule and takes into account your unique challenges and unique physiology as well. And it seems counterintuitive, but eating more is actually better than eating less. We just need to make sure we're focusing on the right things. So learning how to eat for your unique lifestyle and physiology is going to ensure that you actually stick with the nutrition strategy, you lose body fat while building muscle, and you keep the fat off long term. And you're optimizing your metabolism so you have more flexibility to keep enjoying your favorite foods. So today we're going to talk about the myth of calories in versus calories out. We're going to talk about how addressing calories only deals with the downstream symptoms of weight gain, and it doesn't actually get to the root cause of the weight in the first place. And I'll show you how you can shift your body into fat burning rather than fat storing mode, which is how we can unlock lasting weight loss. You're likely here because you want to lose body fat and get your body healthy, but you haven't been able to see the results that you're looking for. And you might think you're low on energy because you're getting older, you're working a stressful job, and you might be overcompensating with lots of caffeine. And so naturally, you think that if you lose weight by eating less, you're going to be able to boost your energy levels. You might also be feeling frustrated from years of starting and stopping diets. You might be fearful that you'll be unable to stay ahead of preventable chronic disease because you struggle to find a solution that fits with your hectic lifestyle and actually keeps the weight off for good. You probably struggle with limited free time due to demanding work schedules, and that makes it difficult to allocate time to meal prep and finding healthy meals as well. And maybe you've tried things like doing the 75 hard challenge, cutting out carbs, cutting out sugar, tracking your food on MyFitnessPal, reducing your meat consumption, things like that. And maybe you saw some results with those, but it probably hasn't stuck. And if you're watching this, you've likely tried getting in great shape by working out more and eating less as well. And I totally understand that that's the first approach you take because eating less and moving more is everywhere. It's what the media says we should do, it's what your friends are doing, it's often what the government is wanting you to do. But if eat less and move more worked, we wouldn't have the obesity stats that we do have today. So I'm here to tell you it's not the optimal solution. And this is especially true if you're working demanding hours and you have a high stress job. Now, you're in the wrong place if you're looking for a quick fix like a 6-week weight loss challenge, you're unwilling to invest in your long-term health, you're looking for a hands-off approach, or you're someone who struggles to follow through on an action plan. Now, just quickly a little bit about me. I'm a 6-time national rep athlete, so I know the pull of wanting to do everything I can in order to get the best results. But as I'll talk about later, this usually isn't the best approach, especially if you are a busy individual. Now, I help clients who are really short on time as a result of their demanding career and family life build their ideal body without going on a diet or cutting out their favorite foods. And I've worked with over 100 clients with this approach and have yet to find someone it doesn't work with. I'm going to be telling you exactly how the system works and how I get my clients amazing results. But first, I just want to tell you about how I learned all of this the hard way. So I ran myself into the ground. I had no energy, little muscle mass. My work and university performance suffered. And as a national rep athlete, my physical performance was the priority. I was training a ton and I wasn't fueling my body properly. And my body wasn't in a state of abundance, like we're going to talk about later. And before I figured all of this out, I ended up with mono and 6 months of chronic fatigue where I couldn't even go for a walk. Fitness and hockey especially were my life. They were my identity and they were what I centered my life around. And suddenly they were taken from me just because I had this one missing piece. I was unsure what the future would look like. I was unsure if I'd be able to compete at the world champs again, let alone the ones that were only a few months away. And obviously this is an extreme example, but I want to share it with you because it highlights the importance of getting our nutrition right. Some of those early warning signs I saw were low energy levels, reduced cognitive capacity, so trouble focusing, and just little results to show from my gym efforts. Now, you might be in a similar place where you worry that you'll never lose this weight. You might worry that you're going to end up with heart disease or diabetes. You might worry that you're not going to be around to play with your kids or your grandkids. And unless you get your nutrition right, these are all possibilities. But the good thing is that they're preventable and you have the power to take action and make a change. And this story hopefully highlights the importance of getting your nutrition right. So over the next 10 to 15 minutes, I'm going to share as much as I can about how you can lose body fat and get in shape in an effective and sustainable way that doesn't involve restrictive diets or counting calories. You'll be able to walk away with tangible action steps you can take and implement right away so you can eat more while losing weight and building strength. You'll have a nutrition methodology that is sustainable even if you have a hectic schedule. And I also know that some of you are going to want to keep going and get additional support or help with customizing this approach and avoiding any plateaus as well. So I've got you covered there too. And I promise at the end, I'll share how you can ensure you continue to progress and overcome any plateaus that might pop up. So we're going to be diving into the same process that we used with Andrew. So Andrew is a head of department at a university, and he wanted to reduce his body fat percentage so he could have more energy, look good for his wife, and prevent potential long-term preventable disease as well. Before we started working together, he was struggling to find something he could stick to and was trying all the latest fad diets, but he never saw sustainable results. In our time together, he lost 10% body fat and he built a nutrition strategy that didn't feel like a diet and that he could actually stick to long term. By the end of our time together, he was confident that he had the knowledge and the systems to stay consistent and keep this weight off for good, even while managing his hectic schedule and traveling a ton as well. He knew how to adjust his plan as needed for his lifestyle, and 5 months later, he's kept the body fat percentage down, and he successfully navigated the holidays as well. So we've obviously just had Christmas and New Year's, and he's managed to get through that and keep his results. So you don't need to work with a coach or mentor forever. You just need to learn how to eat for your goals, your body type, and your unique situation, and then how to adjust that plan as you go. So I'm going to teach you how my process will help you lose fat, build muscle, and boost your energy levels without restrictive diets or calorie counting. So my process involves optimizing key hormones to switch your body into fat burning rather than fat storing mode, boosting your metabolism so you have more flexibility to eat the foods that you want to eat, and then tweaking the type and the timing of your food to work with your physiology rather than against it. The core idea here is that if we eat high quality foods that are in alignment with how humans have evolved to eat, our bodies can balance themselves without the need for tracking. So my approach focuses on eating in a way that not only improves your physique and your energy levels, but your health span as well. The main idea we're focusing on today is how you can get your body to a place where it's able to balance itself without you needing to track everything that you're putting in your body. So this approach taps into human physiology and it leverages your body's physiology to accelerate your progress. Now, there are 4 key points you need to understand with this approach. The first one is that calories in versus calories out is not the whole truth. So have you ever wondered why you're not losing weight even though you're watching what you eat and cutting calories? That's because calories in versus calories out is a myth. So yes, calories do matter, but there's so much more to your body fat percentage than the number of calories you're eating. And you've probably experienced this yourself. You and your friend might eat the exact same meal, but they'll lose weight and you'll gain weight. So focusing on calories alone is an ineffective way to lose fat. And I'm going to go into a little bit more detail here on what this is. So for a little bit of science, you've likely heard the argument of the law of thermodynamics. So the idea is that if you eat more, which is energy in, than you burn, which is energy out, you'll gain weight. And that makes sense. But this equation assumes that those variables are independent variables, but they are actually dependent variables. And this is where things start to fall apart with this theory. So dependent variables impact each other, which means that what we eat and how much we're eating impacts how much energy we expend, and vice versa. So it's cyclical, and these two things are related. So that's the first problem. The second problem is that we expend energy in 4 ways. The first one is digestion. So digesting food actually takes calories. And if you think about something like a steak versus an avocado, a steak's going to take way more calories to digest than an avocado will. So if you were to eat 2,000 calories of protein, which is steak, you'd burn way more calories digesting that than if you ate 2,000 calories of fat, like the avocado. So that might help you visualize how that process works and how just what macros you're eating can impact how many calories you're burning as well. The second one is exercise. So this is what most people think of when they think about calories out. And this includes all your formal exercise. So this is where you're exercising on purpose, like going to the gym or going for a run. Daily activity is all your movement outside of that exercise. So this can be things like just walking around the house, playing with your kids, doing chores, that sort of thing. And then we have basal expenditure. So that's all the energy used to keep your body alive. So that's things like your heart beating, your lungs breathing, producing heat, and that sort of thing. So the law of thermodynamics only applies when you consider all of these, which is the second problem. And most of these you don't have control over, except for the inputs and messages you're sending your body. So calories matter, but the more important thing to consider is what those calories do to our body and the messages that they're sending our body. We need to consider whether the calories we eat will create an environment that will cause our bodies to want to consume more energy than we're expending and to store excess nutrients as fat rather than mobilizing that fat or burning it. So the food you eat, how you exercise, your stress levels, your exposure to toxins, your thoughts and your environment, these all send messages to your body telling it what to do. So if you've ever tried cutting out calories and exercising more to lose weight, you've probably found yourself hungry, irritable, low energy, maybe dealing with some binge eating, and just making no progress. If you want to lose weight, you don't need to cut calories and exercise more. And this eat more, eat less, move more concept is the wrong approach, especially if you're an executive or business owner and you're working long days and traveling frequently. So to go back to the main steps here, the next one is the hormonal and metabolic response to the foods you're eating and the things you're exposed to in everyday life. So the metabolism and your hormones are actually malleable, and that means you have control over them and you can change them. We're more concerned with how your body responds to food rather than how much food you're eating. When you cut calories, your metabolism slows down, and so too does your weight loss progress. Your calorie deficit becomes your maintenance calories. And this is where a lot of people lose hope and motivation and just give up altogether. When we restrict calories, our metabolism adjusts to maintain equilibrium. This means burning fewer calories elsewhere, making weight loss challenging and plateaus much more likely. So eating less doesn't create the need to burn body fat. Instead, it's leading to your body wanting to slow down because it wants to stay alive. It wants to save that energy to make sure that it's not going to starve to death. So that can often lead to it burning muscle tissue, and that's just going to worsen the underlying cause of the weight gain in the first place. So we need to get your body into a state of abundance, which is step number 3 here. So if your body doesn't feel safe, it's going to be really hard to get in shape. We need to get your body to a place where it feels safe and comfortable and essentially just in a state of abundance. I also want to explain how cortisol, which is our stress hormone, impacts muscle growth and fat loss as well as your hormones. So, as cortisol increases, testosterone decreases. And chronically elevated cortisol disrupts the balance of all the other hormones involved in your metabolism, too, which is thyroid hormones, insulin, leptin. And these imbalances lead to metabolic dysregulation, which just makes weight loss and muscle gain so much harder. And if with your job, your cortisol is already high, and these cortisol responses with your job, your cortisol is already high. These cortisol responses aren't good for anyone, but they're even worse for you if you're working in a high stress environment and working long hours as well. So we don't want to add to this by not having the right approach to nutrition. And the fourth point here is balance. So you're likely here because you want to be the best you can be across all areas of your life, being a better parent, spouse, boss, or employee, and not just in your fitness journey. You want to have time for these other priorities in your life and to be able to go out for ice cream with your kids and get beer and pizza with your friends. So this approach will help give you that balance as well. Now I want to tell you about my client, Darren. So Darren's a general manager and father of 3 kids who was struggling to get his weight to budge. He was juggling a demanding career, his kids, a busy social life, and he was low on time and energy, struggling with a lack of self-confidence because of his weight and because of how his work shirts were fitting him. Before joining my coaching program, he was stuck in a rut, constantly searching for the perfect diet and training plan. He'd experimented with various diets like keto, Atkins, Weight Watchers, and he just faced that constant frustration with the stubborn body fat and the lack of results that he was seeing. And he also struggled to find something that was actually sustainable and effective for him with his lifestyle and his goals too. So what we did was implement my aligned nutrition strategy, which we're going to go over in a second, to give Darren a flexible and holistic approach that aligned with his lifestyle. So having beers with his friends and pizza with his kids is important to him. So he fixed his metabolism so that he had the flexibility to include these things in his diet. And during the program, he lost 15 pounds. He was able to fit back into his favorite work shirts, and he experienced a significant boost in his energy, which paid off at work and gave him more energy to play with his kids. And now he can stay consistent long term, reaching his fitness goals, all while savoring his favorite meals and enjoying a few drinks with his friends as well. In this section, we're going to go over what this actually looks like in practice. So how can you actually unlock lasting weight loss without cutting calories? And this is my aligned nutrition strategy, and it is 4 steps. Optimize hormones, remove metabolic clogs, address cortisol and inflammation, and get your macronutrient timing right. So I'm going to briefly cover each of these here, and then we're going to go into more detail later on. So for optimizing hormones, hormones play a pivotal role in regulating metabolism, appetite, and body fat distribution as well. And dysregulation of hormones such as leptin, insulin, ghrelin, and testosterone can actually hinder your weight loss efforts. Now, just to go a little bit into the science of it, so leptin is the satiety hormone. So it signals to the brain to reduce your appetite when fat stores are sufficient. Leptin resistance impairs these signals, and that leads to increased food intake, even though there are adequate food stores. Insulin is a hormone that regulates glucose levels in the blood, so that's blood sugar, and helps the storage of glucose as fat. So high levels of insulin or insulin resistance can result in increased fat storage, and especially in difficulty losing that weight. Ghrelin is the hunger hormone, and these levels rise before meals and they decrease after meals. So elevated ghrelin levels can lead to increased appetite and weight gain as well. And then the last one here is testosterone, which helps maintain muscle mass and promotes fat burning too. And low testosterone can make it really difficult to lose weight and build muscle. Now, the second step is to remove metabolic clogs. So metabolic clogs such as seed oils, low-quality foods, toxins, and pesticides can impair metabolic health and hinder your weight loss success. So some of the biggest ones are seed oils, which are high in omega-6 fatty acids, which are prone to oxidation, and these can contribute to inflammation, which is included in point 3, and metabolic dysfunction as well. So the better option is to opt for healthier fats like olive oil, coconut oil, and even things like butter, lard, and ghee as well. That's all going to help improve your metabolic health. Another one is just low quality foods in general. So processed foods often contain those seed oils as well as additives, refined sugars, and other unhealthy fats that can disrupt metabolic pathways. So emphasizing single ingredient foods is a great way to support metabolic health and weight loss. And what I mean by single ingredient foods is just foods as they come in nature. So you think it's the things that don't have an ingredients list. So a steak, a potato, a carrot, an apple, that sort of thing, even like things like rice as well. Those are the foods you want to be focusing on. And another one is toxins and pesticides. So exposure to environmental toxins and pesticides can interfere with hormone function and the metabolism as well. So you want to choose organic food where possible and also support your detoxification pathways in your body through proper hydration, proper fiber intake, certain vegetables and other substances that can help with those pathways and help you process and get rid of those toxins more quickly. Another point is you want to be filtering your tap water or drinking spring water and replacing personal hygiene products for better alternatives, which I'll go into a bit more detail later on. And number 3 here is addressing cortisol and inflammation. So chronic stress and inflammation are significant barriers to weight loss. Cortisol, which is our stress hormone, can lead to overeating, increased belly fat, and resistance to weight loss as well. And chronic inflammation can disrupt metabolic health, hormone balance, and impede weight loss too. And the final one here is macronutrient timing. Strategically timing the intake of your macronutrients, particularly carbohydrates. So macronutrients are carbohydrates, protein, and fats. Alcohol is like a 4th macronutrient as well. So timing intake of certain macronutrients can optimize your insulin sensitivity, which goes back to the hormones, and will support weight loss as well. So just some key things you can do here is timing your carbs around your workouts. So consuming the majority of your daily carbohydrates around workouts, particularly like right before and right after, can enhance glycogen replenishment, which is glycogen is sugar, which is the main energy in your muscles. And it'll help muscle recovery as well without spiking insulin. So going back to the hormones at other times. And another good way to do this is to just go through a phase where you're limiting carbs initially to get your hormones healthy, to get your metabolism healthy, and then slowly introducing some healthy carbs back. So those are 2 strategies that I use with my clients that help with the hormones and the metabolism as well. So obviously this is a lot of information, and I want to focus on just one of these for now that's going to have the biggest impact at the start, and that's removing metabolic clogs. So just to give you a bit more substance and what this looks like in practice, I'll go through an example of what I do with my clients when it comes to removing these metabolic clogs. So the idea is that when we remove these clogs, your metabolism can start working with you rather than against you. And I'll give you some actionable steps here as well. So here's what I do with each of my clients. We start with a nutrition audit so that I can get a really good idea of what your nutrition looks like now in terms of the foods you eat, when you're eating, and other food-related habits too. I then take everything from this audit to come up with a nutrition plan that's going to fit in well with how you're already eating. So I don't want to overhaul your whole diet because that's never going to be sustainable. But what I want to do is come up with a strategy that is going to let you keep eating the foods you enjoy. Like I said, with Darren, who still wanted to enjoy pizza and beer, but it's going to make sure you're still making progress on your goals. So the key is doing that strategically. I don't want to overhaul everything. And I know that consistency is a huge piece of losing weight and keeping it off. So it's going to be about finding a way to eat that you can stick with forever. So we make these adjustments and we're going to focus on the highest ROI tweaks we can make that are actually going to get you to your goal. And then we strategically implement these in a structured way so we can overcome hurdles as they come up and continue to tweak this system till we hit the right balance of progress and the ability to fit this into your lifestyle and schedule. So here's an example of how I did this with my client, David. So David is a 38-year-old executive with two young kids. When we started working together, he had 27 pounds to lose, especially around the belly area, and he wanted to improve his stamina and his energy levels as well. So here's what we did to remove these metabolic clogs that were keeping him stuck. First, we increased his protein intake to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. We removed the obvious food-related clogs, such as peanut butter, seed oils, and wheat-based products. We then really reduced his non-food related clogs by reducing his exposure to toxins from personal care products. And we started filtering his water to reduce his exposure to all the toxins that are in tap water, and then added minerals back to make sure he was still hydrating properly. So without this holistic approach, people often do get stuck. They might lose the first 10 pounds, but then they hit a plateau. And that often happens when people do use the eat less, move more approach. They might lose some weight initially, but it always comes back because you haven't addressed the hormones, the metabolism, inflammation, all of that. So you need to get your body first to a place where it wants to lose fat and have the fat stay off. And this does start with removing these clogs and minimizing your exposure to toxins that block fat loss. So to summarize everything we've gone over, we've talked about why weight loss isn't as simple as calories in versus calories out, and why this approach often backfires, especially in the long term. We've talked about what actually matters for weight loss, which are the 4 steps of my aligned nutrition strategy, which were optimizing hormones, removing metabolic clogs, addressing cortisol and inflammation, and getting your macronutrient timing right. We talked about how this approach ensures you have the energy you need not only to get through your workouts, but to show up at work and for your family as well. And you're walking away with some actionable steps you can use right now to start optimizing your nutrition. To ensure you don't hit a plateau in your fat loss journey, the next steps are to address those other 3 steps of the aligned nutrition strategy, which we talked about briefly earlier on. So this is why so many people who do consistently eat well, they still struggle to get in great shape because they hit that wall. You can't see huge results, and especially results that last long term, without dialing in all of these aspects of your nutrition. So here we are optimizing hormones through strategies such as protein intake, your training style, smart supplementation. We want to be minimizing cortisol and inflammation by optimizing your gut health, again, using smart supplementation, daily cortisol management practices, removing inflammatory triggers as well. And with your macronutrients, it's about, like we talked about, finding that right balance of each macronutrient and also figuring out the timing as well. So we don't want to be, for example, cutting out carbs necessarily, but we want to strategically time them during the day so they're working for us rather than against us. And I simplify this nutrition for my clients by removing all of this guesswork, providing a clear week-by-week plan tailored to their unique needs. And we also perform weekly nutritional forecasting, which allows us to prepare for upcoming challenges or events, which means they can stay on track regardless of their schedule. So if you have questions about anything we covered today, please get in touch and I can help you out and hopefully clear some things up for you. And if anything in this training today resonated with you and you're sick of cutting calories, going on diets just to see no progress or have the weight come back, and you're trying to figure out how to set up your nutrition for lasting weight loss, either click the link in the comments to fill out a quick form or just send me a DM letting me know that you watched this masterclass and that you want to see how we could implement this in your life. So that's all I have for you. I know that was a lot of information, but hopefully you were able to see how nutrition is a whole lot more than just the number of calories you eat and how you have to get the balance of everything right. And hopefully you have a few strategies you can take away and try out on your own for now and just see how that impacts your weight loss, especially in the long term. So I appreciate you sticking around for this whole video and watching it. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you soon.